Hello everyone, my name is John Baker, Superintendent at Wooditz Unified School District, and I'm going to be presenting you a little bit of where we are this time and where we're going. I want to talk a little bit about the budget and as well of our vision and mission, and so some exciting things to share with you. First, the vision and mission was revised, and we have a new vision and mission that was approved by the board in January. And it says the following: we envision a vibrant learning community where all students are inspired to discover their potential and supported in becoming confident, capable, and compassionate individuals. Our schools are safe, inclusive, and innovative environments that foster academic excellence, social emotional well-being, and lifelong learning. Preparing all students to thrive in high school, college, careers, and civic life. Our mission. Wooditz Unify, our mission is to empower every learner through one, student-centered learning, providing meaningful, relevant, equitable learning experiences that develop skills for the 21st century. Healthy, safe environments, cultivating schools where students feel respected, connected, and engaged in a positive school culture. Continuous growth, using data, reflection, and collaboration to refine instruction and improve student outcomes. Valuing people, uplifting the voices of students, staff, families, and community members in shaping a shared success. We believe that when students are at the center of every decision, we create a unified culture of opportunity, excellence, and belonging. I want to go over a little bit with you the budget, where we are, where we're going. So the budget was presented in December as our first interim budget, kind of know where we are. It was showing that we're below a minimum reserve of 3%. State requirement says that we must be at a 3% or above. We must stabilize our school district financially. It's important that we do that. Our first interim budget that was shown in December showed a reserve of 2.77%, which is less than 3%. As you can see here, our total revenues, this is what we get from LCFF, Fed revenue, other state revenue, and other local revenues. It's about $28 million. Our expenditures, shows our salaries, our benefits, books, supplies, services, and operating expenditures. Capital outlay, other outgo, is about $30 million. Now you can see that our expenditure is much greater than our revenues. So $30 million is way much greater than $28 million. When you subtract those two numbers there, we have a minus $1.2 million, which shows that we are overspending. Moreover, about the first interim budget, it shows fund balance. There's a spreadsheet that shows toward the end the fund balance. It shows the beginning fund balance, which I will explain a little bit, about $6.9 million, and the ending fund balance of about $5.6 million. Now, I'm going to explain to you a little bit about how is the beginning balance is built on. And I want you to remember that the last year's ending fund balance equates to this year's beginning fund balance. So in order for you to understand that, I created a chart here. And so on the left side there, this shows the 24-25 school year and 25-26 school year. And the end balance of a school budget always ends at the end of June 30th. And the beginning fund balance is the next day, which is July 1st. So this shows you here, and this is also represented into a spreadsheet brought to the board in September, which is called the unaudited actuals. And it's the result of finalizing the previous fiscal year. And we call it unaudited because it's not finalized. There's a lot of things that may go through just to finalize it entirely. And it shows in there into that spreadsheet, which I'll also show to you in the next slide, that there's a 5.17%, which equate about $1.6 million, which is the available reserve. And also restricted fund, which is $5.2 million. Now you see that I took those two things there, and you take this and you move it there into this pot there, where here you have the revenues that you get from LCFF, the Fed revenue, all those state and local revenues. That makes up about $28 million. Now, the $1.6 million become the beginning fund balance. And then the 5.2 goes into the restricted fund balance. So again, this is the first interim budget reporting from July 1st to October 31st. So the first interim budget is always something, it goes from July 1st to October 31st. And the budget is always reported to the board in December as the first interim budget. And it shows a little bit, the first interim budget tells you where we are at the moment. Now I wanted to go a little bit more in depth with the spreadsheet. If you like numbers, you can follow me. I'm going to try to be slow on it. So the unaudited actuals, it shows you here, again, the revenues. And again, that's the, remember, when we come back to it, is the end of year balance. So here, this is the two spreadsheets you have, one from the 24-25 school unaudited actuals, which is presented in September and approved by the board in September. And then you also have here on the right side, you have another spreadsheet, which is presented in December, which is called the first interim budget. And I like to call it, say, what we are. So here shows you the revenues, and it shows you the expenditures. And in the expenditures, you can see that it goes, there's a breakdown how the money is spent in the expenditures. And then you have the beginning fund balance, which is the beginning fund balance from actually the 23 and 24 school year. And here you have the ending fund balance, which is the remainder of this school year for the 24 and 25 school year, which is composed, and then here's a critical word, composed of restricted funds and available funds. That makes up this number there. So when you add this number and that number, that makes up this number. And here the available reserve shows you 5.17. So if you translate this into percentage, it will show you 5.17. And so here on the right side, it shows you the first interim. Again, you see that, we got, again, shows you where we are at the moment, about $20 million for the 25-26 school year. In expenditure, about $30 million. And it shows you here an excess deficiency of minus $1.2 million. Now, the beginning fund balance, which is always a bit adjusted based on, there's variations always in budget. It shows you remember those two numbers I told you here earlier, it becomes this number, except there is some variation. So keep in mind there's always variation in finance because there's always more expenditures and there's an increase, decrease in fund balance. And so the ending fund balance here is composed of the restricted funds and available reserve. So you may ask, well, how do you get that $5.6 million? So you take this number there, the beginning fund balance, and you subtract it with the minus, you take that minus the $1.279067 million, and you get $5.637693 million. So that is your ending balance there. And then out of this balance there, you break it down between restricted, which is, there's restricted funds that, is very restricted on how you spend it based on specific requirements. And then the remainder goes into available reserve, and that's what makes it a 2.77%. So it kind of shows you on what happened from the explanation on the unaudited actuals, and then how it's kind of, carried over to the fund balance here, which is spoken. Based on the budget spreadsheet, we are in a deficit, and mathematically, it shows that we will continue to be in deficit with the status quo that we have at this time. And again, I keep coming back here. I mean, we are on a excess and deficit, and it shows you a negative number. Some of our current employees, which we thank them so much for the work they have done for Wilson Unified, were brought on using the one-time COVID fund with the expectation the position we end with their funding ended. So not too long ago, actually, we were on COVID, and the state kind of gave COVID fund to other school districts to be used to help out, during that crisis time. And most or all of the school district hired extra employees to help out during the moment. And of course, that fund doesn't last. It's just they give you the amount of money, and then once it's gone, it's gone. So that's what triggered a little bit of the layoffs. We know that layoffs are very difficult for everyone, and I wish we did not have to do layoff. And I have gone through a few layoffs myself in my life, working either as an engineer in my younger days and as a teacher. So my idea here, and working with my team, not just myself, but is to consolidate the method and to replace. So we have 3 family liaisons, which is COVID funded, and money is no longer there. And so we are taking 3 into 1 FTE district family and community outreach for our schools. And but also we are highly exploring right now what translation is going to be looking like at each school site. So this is not something we're just not going to do. Yes, we're going to have translation. We're just going to figure out how we're going to make it happen. At Brookside Elementary School, currently we have 2 therapists, and next school year we have 1 therapist, and we're replacing 1 therapist with 1 counselor. So when you see is we're taking 1 therapist, but we're replacing 1 therapist with a counselor. So technically is, we are kind of replacing and modifying the way the counseling should be over there. And the Department of Transportation, currently we have 1 transportation lead. Next year, we have 1 assistant director of maintenance and operations, which includes the duty of transportation lead. So again, 1 position is replaced with another position. Now I want to go a little bit on the bigger scope of that is the future WILLETs and what every day counts for our schools. And when it comes to school funding, again, California is different from most other states. While other states give schools more money based on how many students are enrolled, California only pays us based on how many students are actually in their seats each day, so technically attendance. And this is known as average daily attendance, ADA. So when you hear ADA, you're like, oh, is the average daily attendance is when students are actually on their seats daily. And this is how California is set. That's how the funded is created. And I would say think of it like a daily ticket for learning. For every day the child is present, the state provides a set amount of funding. It kind of varies between $50 and $75 per day, depending on their grade, to pay for the teachers, books, and classroom supplies. When a student is absent, even for good reason, like being sick or having doctor's appointment, the state, takes that day's funding away from the school, and so that's how the state operates. But the job here for us, following that rule of how is it set by the state, is like how do we improve attendance? So this year it was very fortunate that we have implemented the student attendance review team, the SART also called, which is a school site intervention team that meets with families once a month to identify and solve barriers to regular attendance. So we're trying that this year, and hopefully, and we're gonna reassess at the end of the school year. And so we're very happy to have this in place. And we're also exploring the other ideas, like we're working on other aspects of tiered intervention to improve the overall attendance of our students. I'd like to share a little bit of the exploration, where we are and where we would like to go. And so our districts at this time has specific types of programs to attract and retain our parents. We're very, very fortunate to have our CTE program right now at the high school, which is something that attracts many of our parents to have their child here at the school. We also have the alternative learning environment, which is great as well for our parents, and having like social emotional support in place as well that shows, you know, we're not only academics, but also the social emotional aspect as well. But we can also explore other things. What else can we do? One thing I want to say is that, you know, when students are excited about specific programs, they want to come to school. They're more likely to show up every day. If they show up every day, of course, you have better ADA. But we had to find ways to excite those students, to make sure they come to school every day and feel like this is something they want to learn. So I did a picture here on my right side of the screen. The blue here is where we are, is our town, and Willis Unified School District is serving this town here. Is all the blue here. It's all we're serving all the parents and families. But it'd be great to go outside of our town and find out if we can bring more parents into our programs here, so our neighbor, and find out to increase our enrollment, and but it has to do with programs that we offer. So what the idea of dual immersion, I know I mentioned about that a little bit for Willis Unified School District. So I believe in having a program as well in place to serve our families, where to prepare them to be bilingual. Nowadays, as you know, being bilingual is almost a need for the future of our students. The dual immersion is something which I worked on and I created before in our schools as well, very effectively. Enhance cognitive skills, learning in 2 languages, build flexible thinking, stronger focus, and advanced problem solving. This is based on research. Sustainable enrollment attracts diverse families and stabilizes district funding by offering high interest programming. Is also a college and career readiness, prepares students for a global workforce. Graduates can earn the California State Seal for biliteracy. And cultural connection fosters empathy and builds a more inclusive, connected to school community. And again, you know, this is an exploration. So what I have in mind here is to create a team next year with teachers from all sites, and to explore the idea of dual immersion on how can it be done for a school district, and looking out the corners. And we'd like to have us, well, the team, to visit some schools. We have our neighbor district, Ukiah, or there's also other schools down in Sacramento, and they have a dual immersion school. So anyway, it's something to explore, and can we do it, and so that we can better serve our families, and provide actually more programs in place, if it's possible. So something to explore altogether. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my presentation, and you have a wonderful day, and I will give you another presentation in March about the great things we're doing here at the district, and being more transparent, and have a great day. Okay, bye.